The UMX Turbo Timber will require a Spectrum 6-channel transmitter or greater, such as this NX6. A 7.4 volt battery with JST PH connector, along with a compatible LiPo charger, will also be necessary. To charge the battery, you will likely need one of these adapters or possibly both. The link for them will be in the description. The transmitter settings for the aircraft are relatively simple. Start with a blank model on your transmitter and set the timer for 6 minutes. Set your throttle cut switch and then go to aircraft type and set it to 1 aileron, 1 flap. You can now go to flap system and set up your flaps. The manual suggests your flap values on the 0 position be -90%, 0% on the 1 position, and 90% on position 3. The safe switch will automatically be controlled by the gear channel. Let's discuss the optional slats for the wings. Applying the optional slats will help the aircraft achieve even more lift. I do not find them absolutely necessary for the aircraft, but it will max out its short takeoff and landing performance. You'll see the plastic tabs on the back of each slat, and they will sit right on the front of the wing where the little divots are. This will require foam-safe CA glue to attach. So to attach the slats, we'll put a small drop of CA glue on each of the divots. This is a foam-safe CA glue, so we know it will not do any damage to our foam. Now that our slats are glued and dried, our battery is fully charged, we can now discuss binding the aircraft. To put the airplane into bind mode is very simple. All we need to do is plug in the flight battery and leave the transmitter powered off. As we plug in the battery, we'll hear some buzzing coming from the airplane. That's completely normal. That is the servos just reacting to the power input. The airplane is now in bind mode. Take your transmitter, ensure that you've already set up the transmitter for the aircraft and that you're on the correct model. Hold down the bind button and power on. We're now bound to the aircraft and can begin our pre-flight checks. We'll test to make sure our ailerons are working, moving that right stick left and right. We can see them moving opposite directions, exactly what we want. Test our elevator, move the right stick up and down. You see our elevator pitching up and down. The rudder on the left stick, moving left and right. And then you can hold the plane, flip your throttle cut off, and test the motor. Always flip your throttle cut back on when you're not ready to throttle up the plane. Now that we know that our surfaces are functioning properly, we can test the safe system. Ensure that your transmitter's A switch is in the 0 position for safe on. And when we tilt the aircraft left and right, we can see that aileron moving up and down to try to bring the plane back to center. The same can be seen on the elevator. When we tip the nose of the aircraft down, the elevator tips up to try to bring the nose back level. Fly in a large enough area to accommodate RC flying. The plane does very well in small parks and gymnasiums. Fly on a relatively calm day and ensure that the first time you fly is with little to no wind at all, so that you can get used to how the aircraft flies. Because of its small size, no registration should be required. Be sure to know your local laws and ordinances, and be sure to follow the rules. The UMX Turbo Timber can be taken off from a runway or it can be easily hand launched. Fly in controlled circles with safe mode on. The plane is easy to fly as bank angles are limited. You may not loop or roll the aircraft in this mode. After flying for about 6 minutes, then prepare to land to avoid running into LVC. LVC, or low voltage cutoff, is a safety mechanism to protect the LiPo battery. It will result in a pulsing in the motor while retaining surface control. If this is noticed, land immediately. To land the aircraft, line up with the runway and switch to beginner mode. Lower the throttle stick and use incremental rudder and elevator inputs to help the plane come down and stay centered. Deploy flaps and gently pull back on the elevator just before touchdown to ensure a smooth landing. Flip the throttle cut switch and retrieve the aircraft and unplug the battery. When finished flying for the day, the retail box makes an ideal storage and transport solution. Store your batteries in a LiPo-safe bag or metal container. Another invaluable tool that I'd like to mention is the E-flite software. You can fly this exact same plane on the computer with this simulator without any risk of crashing or bad weather. It's available through Horizon Hobby and Steam. Thank you for joining me for a look at the UMX Turbo Timber.